I don't know that there's any rules about anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Somebody smarter than I said that anti-Semitism is putting on the Jews whatever is most deplorable in your society. If you hate communists, the Jews are communists. If you hate capitalists, the Jews are capitalists. If you hate atheists, the Jews are atheists. If you hate the religious, they're religious. We serve as kind of a barometer of other people's hatred, which is a difficult thing to be. Mostly, currently, what we see among students, what is reported to us, are incidents of comments that are made by fellow students, sometimes professors, and vandalism. It is a regular occurrence that swastikas are written, are drawn in university bathrooms or in on buildings. Sometimes a student will have, somebody will put a swastika in their dorm room or on their door or something like that. And the swastika in the Jewish community is obviously a symbol of the Nazis and the Holocaust and the desire or approval of murdering Jews. So it's a symbol of hate and intimidation. And that's why we are a big concern with that. Sometimes professors will say things in a class, or a student will say something in a class and a professor doesn't correct it, which are openly anti-Semitic. Jews control the media, Jews control the banks, things which historically have been used against Jews and led to violence and oppression. And these ideas are still floating around our society and the world, and in fact, probably more now than in the recent decades. Combating anti-Semitism is not easy. It's not easy because it hides. Anti-Semitism is not Nazi brown shirts walking down the College Avenue and breaking windows in Jewish spaces, although that's happened at Rutgers. 15 years ago or so, somebody threw bricks through the windows of Hillel and Chabad and Jewish studies and things like that. But that's not what anti-Semitism generally looks like. So it's hard to fight, because what it looks like for most people are comments, petty vandalism, or sometimes ostracizing students. Call it out early so that it doesn't fester and grow. But just like any kind of racism, if you let the smaller things pass, they grow into bigger things. They become acceptable. Look, in America today, in 2019, every synagogue in America is trying to figure out what security to have on a regular basis so people don't come and shoot us. I used to travel around the world, and whenever I would go, in Latin America, in Asia, in Europe, in the Middle East, I would go to synagogues. And everywhere in the world, they always have security guards. Guys with guns protecting the synagogue. And I used to think this is so sad for those Jews in these communities that they have to live like this. And now in America, we have to live like this. We have a guard at Hillel every day. That wasn't part of the original plan. But when people started shooting Jews and sending bomb threats to Jews, we have to do that. Every single week, you can read about, and almost on a daily basis, Jews being assaulted in New York. It's become almost a catastrophe. Visible Jews walking down the streets in Manhattan and Brooklyn are beat up on a regular basis. Vandalism against synagogues and Jewish cemeteries is constant now. And we feel that. And we feel vulnerable because of that. And a lot of the non-Jewish community, they don't see it, they don't hear about it, they don't know about it. So when Jews express their vulnerability, people don't get it because they're not as educated about what's happening. Because hate against one group is hate against everybody. Jews are often described as the canary in the coal mine, right? If Jews in a society start to become oppressed, prejudice becomes overt, that society is going to start to decline in all ways against all groups. It's just a pattern that's been repeated for a long time. So today I got an email from a colleague in a university in another part of the country flyers on their campus talking about how Hitler was an art student, and he faced discrimination from Jews as an artist, and maybe that's why he became an anti-Semite, and how Christians and white people are also suffering from this Jewish elite prejudice against them, and it's bizarre. It seems kind of crazy, very creepy, but there's that element of white nationalism, white supremacy, which is growing around the country, that targets Jews very specifically. We've seen white supremacist flyers on campus that people have been bold enough to pass out in front of Hillel in the middle of a day. That didn't used to happen, because anti-Semitism at its core is an irrational conspiracy theory. Whatever you're afraid of, the Jews have done it. And so whatever people are afraid of, from the late 60s through into the mid 90s, anti-Semitism was not socially acceptable, on the left or the right. I was lucky enough to grow up in that era.
Yeah.
When anti-Semitism began to rear its head once again openly in the late 90s, and then even more so today, it's become a shock to the American Jewish community.
Sure.
Because we thought America was different. I do think America is different, but it's not as different as we thought it was, as we'd hoped it was.
Yeah.